So in the last video we began tracking cumulative XP, and so let's take that and start working on the basis of a leveling system and how that would impact combat. So the first thing we'd want to do is we're going to have to add a couple more variables. So let's go to battle flow, and we're going to declare this is going to be a buff that will increase as your level increases, and so it's going to adjust how much damage you do in battle. And it starts off as 0. And let's create let's just spell it out. It's going to be that many letters. What we're going to do is we're going to take that level buff and put it into combat. So, if you recall, the neither state for whose turn, that's where damage gets done. So, enemy HP minus hero attack power. So what we want to do is we want to increase this number by that new variable. So level buff. And just to test it, what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily put a statement in here. States hero level equals 0. Then the level buff should equal 100. So what's going to happen is, since we're starting off at level, actually starting off at level 1. So if hero is level 1, then the level buff variable gets set to 100, which means where the calculation is performed, we'll make sure this is taken as a single number. So hitting number 2 usually does 50 points of damage. It should now do 150, which means this should become negative 70. There we go. It was that easy to add a buff. And that's one of the great things about having just one statement to do the skill damage. I only have to put that buff in one place, so whether I use skill 1 or skill 2. Now the DOTs are done separately. You can always put in a separate buff for the DOTs if you want. Or you could even use this, put it in here, but have it be divided by, say, like 10 or 20. That way you're not getting, it's not, not overpowered. with that in place, what we can now do is build upon that and put in a legitimate leveling system and not just a placeholder calculation. So, back to battle flow, and what we're going to do is just going to copy and paste this a bunch of times. And there might be a shortcut way of doing this, but again, it's just for demonstrative purposes, not necessarily the most efficient coding, but just to show how it can be done. So essentially you're seeing the same thing over and over again. You're checking the hero level, and then you're setting this variable to a certain number based on that level. So level 1 we'll set it to 0, level 2 set it to 10, level 3 set it to 20, 4 set to 30, level 5 set to 40. Now, no real great way of testing that until we actually start leveling up. So let's save that. And what we need to do also is we need to see what level someone is. The hero is. So if battle flow dot, let's see, if it's greater than 100, actually, since we're just testing it, we just say 50. So if hero total XP is greater than 50, but less than 100, then we set the level to 2. So now I think you can really start seeing it coming together. So first we're tracking total XP at the end of a battle. We increase the total XP. At the beginning of the next battle, say, okay, if that total XP is within a certain range, then hero level gets set to a certain value. Then that hero level translates into a level buff. So I suppose you could technically skip the hero level and just say, okay, here's the buff you have based on this XP, but predominantly there's leveling systems. People like to see an exact number. Not all RPGs have it, but the majority do. So and by doing this, you can actually display this number, which we'll go into in a bit. And this is entirely arbitrary as far as what you want the parameters to be. Honestly, that's probably one of the last things you're going to do is setting this, because a lot of times certain tasks can't be completed, certain enemies can't be beat till you reach a certain level. So if you're trying to pad out the timing as far as how long it takes to complete the game, that's one way that it can be done. You don't want to be too fast, you don't want it to be too slow. Actually, for now, this one doesn't need an upper limit if this is the max level. Alright, so starting at level 2, which starts after 50 points, we should start getting a boost. So 10, and then 20, then 30, then 40. Getting close, we're up to 40 points. There we go, so it's 60, so we should start doing 60 points of damage because it's 50 plus the 10 bonus. And again, every time I'm just using skill number 2, which does 50 points of damage. Interesting. Okay, so it did 60 points of damage, but it read 50. That's because I did not put the new level buff there in the floating text. But at least we know why, so it's an easy fix. And we'll do this one more time, and we should start doing 70 points of damage. Actually, it's at 100 even, so it'll be... We'll do 70 next time. There we go. Now it's over 100. So again, I'm using the number 2 skill, which does 50 as a base. And it did indeed do 70. So the leveling is working as intended. Just got to change the float text. And that should be an easy fix. We just need to open up text control, which is on the floating damage text. And we just have to find the right one. So here's hero attack power. And what we need to do is see if it can be done this way. And it's the level buff. Not sure why you get that message every once in a while. Okay, skipping ahead, we should now get the extra damage this time. So it should do 60 and should say 60. There we go. That easy to fix.